All right, all right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to check back in. I know I've been doing a lot of lives. I've been in a very lively mood, but for the last week or so, I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just the flow that I'm in for right now in this season because I just want to connect with you guys in real time. Good morning, Carol Fisher. Good morning. Glad to hear from you. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get into content. Make sure you communicate with me. We'll just have a back and forth conversation, and we'll highlight on some topics. Okay. So I have two things in the title on today's thumbnail. If you look in today's title, it basically talked about how, hey, we're going to talk about two things, and the one thing's more pop culture, but it's actually good. It's actually a symptom that things are changing in the culture, which I've always believed the conservative side of things, we fail miserably when it comes to impacting the culture, which is why we find ourselves in these dire situations, right? And so if you didn't know, we spent all this time talking about the Rittenhouse trial and that way to go that we actually got justice to happen. You know, there's this thing called due process that's not completely dead in the United States of America because I was starting to wonder. It's like, look, go through the process. Did you break a law? Did you actually get attacked first, or were you the instigator? I mean, these things matter to at least half of the country, maybe not the woke people that you always see in front of the TV, but these things clearly matter. Okay. And that's what our founding fathers intended. And so shout out to that. But that was a distraction. What up, Jim? That was a distraction. Appreciate you. You're awesome. Keep up the great work. Appreciate it, Jim. That was definitely a distraction, if you ask me. I mean, we needed to follow that to a degree, but did that need to be the main trial broadcasted to the entire United States of America, probably the whole world right now? No, because there's another trial that's happening. I think it's either this or next week. I should know that date. Sorry, I can't remember off the top of the dome, but we'll look at some articles in a minute. Ghislaine Maxwell is what I'm referring to. Now, this is the trial of trials that needs to be televised on CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all the whole nine. This is the thing. This needs to get the OJ Simpson press, right? But do you really think that that's going to happen? Do you really think that the trial of the century, the trial of possibly world history, that is the Ghislaine Maxwell Epstein Island trial, is going to be televised anywhere remotely close to the publicity that we got of the Rittenhouse trial? No, no. If you believe that, you don't understand how the world really is and how it operates, y'all. But I'm just here to tell you till the wheels fall off. We're going to talk about it this week. We are going to talk about it. So, as a reminder, who is Ghislaine Maxwell? Why is it important? We got to unpack this stuff. Well, here's an article. This is from The Guardian, just to kind of refresh your memory. Ghislaine Maxwell's finally goes on trial. Listen, after 15 months of remand, Associated Financier Jeffrey Epstein faces charges of sex trafficking and enticement of minors because she was sex trafficking and enticing minors. That's why she's facing it. Just to be clear, it seems overtly evident. Ghislaine Maxwell is to emerge from her New York prison cell on Monday after a 15-month wait for the trial, for the start of a trial for a sex trafficking of children, perjury, and the enticement of minors while she was a close associate of the late financier Jeffrey Epstein. She is now 59 years old. The youngest child of a British newspaper magnate, Robert Maxwell, has been held on remand, I think I'm saying that right, in a Brooklyn detention center since shortly after her arrest in July of 2020 during a lengthy jury selection process. Jury selection, procedures, international interest will focus on two key issues. First, the likelihood that Maxwell and her lawyers will offer up details of prominent names implicated in the case, which is what I'm very interested in. I want to hear her sing like a bird, but I'm not overly hopeful that people are going to allow that to happen. I hope so, but this is just kind of what I'm interested in, what y'all are probably interested in. Okay, who's implicated in the case, including, listen, Prince Andrews. And second, the alleged poor state of the defendant's health. Says Maxwell's elder brother, Ian, a British businessman and think tank founder, alleges his sister's incarceration under 24-hour surveillance in a cell measuring just 9 feet by 6 feet amounts to excessive cruelty. Well, if you're messing with children and sex trafficking, I don't know if that's cruel enough, in my opinion, but whatever. She has slept on a concrete bed beside a toilet and has had no access to natural light. I wonder what kind of access to natural light your victims had. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Maxwell also claims her eyesight is failing. Oh, you poor Maxwell. You want sympathy from us, and you're not going to get it. And her hair falling out while her guards repeatedly wake her by shining a torch in her face. Prison officials say the scrutiny is designed to prevent Maxwell's harming herself in the light of Epstein's cell suicide, if it really was that, a suicide, that is, 2.5 years ago. But her lawyers argue this is merely the cover story for the persecution campaign. That's what her lawyers say. 4 applications for bail by Maxwell have been turned down despite an offer of $28.5 million from her lawyers. Wow. Judge Allison Nathan, a former associate White House counsel for President Barack Obama, has ruled that the accused woman remains a flight risk and has not been honest about her financial means. Maxwell went to the ground after the arrest. You know, there is something to her not being honest about her financial means. They're claiming that she had under $1 million in the bank. And if you have any history about the way this woman rolled, the people that she was with during the time of her being buddy, boyfriend, girlfriend, working for whatever her relationship was with Epstein, you know that she was rolling with a lot more than that. Okay. She's been backed by some people. So anyway, let's read a little bit from you guys. David Leatherwood, hey, how are you? She says she has dirt on all the elite. That's what I'm thinking. And so the elite don't want this to be the main story. They don't want this to be the main trial of trials. They don't want this to be like the O.J. Simpson of our day. This is a bigger story than O.J. Simpson, right? But it's always these little, side little stories that don't really have the big fish tied to it that always get the play, always get the press. Okay. Our society, because of the elite that they control, they always major on the minors and minor on the majors. Okay, let me say it again. They major on the minors, Kyle Rittenhouse. I mean, yeah, that's a big deal, kind of, but not really, because it's not going to lead to the arrest of the corruption, which is what we need in this country. And then they minor on the majors. So I don't know. Have y'all heard anything about a televised spot about the Ghislaine Maxwell trial that's happening any second now? Have y'all heard anything about that? Do y'all expect to see play-by-play, constant coverage, press? Anywhere is news? Is any source able to get in there and broadcast that? I highly doubt it. Just saying. Carol Fisher says I can't see them letting her name names in New York. Sounds like intimidation right now. It's crazy. And if you think Epstein killed himself, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think anybody on here really thinks that. I don't know how this is going to go down, but we can read a little bit more about this upcoming trial. It needs to be talked about. Okay. That's my heart behind this. I'm like, man, Rittenhouse, praise God, we got to win. There was justice. But look, let's not get distracted. And we're so bad about that as Americans because the elite know how to distract like nobody's business. That's what they're good at, right? The FBI finally tracked her down. So she was hiding initially, and they found her in July of 2020. FBI tracked her down in a secluded mansion in the New Hampshire area after finding a mobile phone tracking device got to her. 4 accusers are expected to testify at trial. This will be really interesting. 4 accusers, including one unidentified British woman, but others, including the Duke of York's accuser, Virginia Giuffre. I don't know if I say that right. It's Giuffre. May come forward during the trial. The alleged British victim claims that Maxwell recruited her in London in 1994. Back then she was 17, asking her for a massage at Epstein's, which apparently. I remember listening to some of the interviews from these girls who, how you get to a point where it's night where you agree to do a massage of a guy at a private place. The discernment ain't working too well for you. So, but be that as it may, this is some evil stuff. Maxwell's defense team is expected to argue that she was also a victim of Epstein's malevolent and controlling personality. Yeah, right. This weekend details a former Barclays bank boss, and regular at Just Stanley's, I don't know where that is, friendly email correspondence with Epstein. They have emerged. Staley, who was Epstein's private banker at JP Morgan, had stepped down from this role at Barclays last week following an investigation. The Financial Times revealed on Friday that Staley had reported exchanged 1,200 emails with Epstein over 4 years, some of which featured unexplained terms such as Snow White. Wonder what that is. Staley's lawyer, Kathleen Harris, has stated her client had no involvement in any of the alleged crimes committed by Epstein. Of course, that's what they're going to claim. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. My goodness, but I'm just choosing to believe. The prophets have said as much, and I just believe that this is the season. Oh, what up, Mama T? She's here. Good morning. I'm choosing to believe this is the season of justice. I was believing that going into November, and it seems like it's starting to bear fruit. Rittenhouse, we got justice there. And also, I'm just going to say this. I can't remember the name of the trial, but at the same time that we have this Ghislaine Maxwell trial going under, there's a massive court case that has the potential to overturn Roe v. Wade. This is huge. So if you're a praying person and you understand how God values all life in the womb, how he still values that as a baby. And you need to keep an eye on that too. But I'm going to digress back into the content. So Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Just to give a little bit more context to refresh you, because we're constantly distracted with all these different stories, and we got to keep our eye on the main thing when it comes to child sex trafficking and pedophile rings and all of those items that mainly the people who seem to control everything that we see seem to be culpable and guilty of. These are the things that we got to shed the light on. Okay. We're supposed to be salt and light, and you don't put light on a hill, a city on a hill. You got to shed light so it brings light to the whole place. That's what we're supposed to do, especially as children of God who believe in Jesus Christ. Okay. So here is the darkness. It doesn't get much darker than crimes against children. Okay. It doesn't get much darker than that. So anyway, here's another article from Bloomberg. It says Epstein scapegoat or sexual abuser. There's probably a little truth to both. Probably mostly a scapegoat, because the big fish, that's who I want to find out or hear from. So the former socialite and woman who say she helped ravage their lives, the woman of reckoning has finally arrived, or the moment, excuse me, I should say, not the woman of reckoning. The moment of reckoning has finally arrived. This is an article that was, November 12th, so probably something like last week or so. But let's read a little bit more here. Ghislaine Maxwell, just to put it in perspective, she was high society, private jet, sumptuous mansions, lavish parties, the rich and powerful. This was her world, right? It collapsed in a grimy cell in Brooklyn, they say, about 16 months ago, behind bars. She's been there. She's about to do what her ex-boyfriend, Jeffrey Epstein, never did, which was stand trial. Now, I don't think they let him stand trial, if you know what I mean. But hopefully she'll get to, and we'll see what comes out of it. The British socialite and daughter of the late disgraced publishing baron Robert Maxwell is accused of recruiting and grooming a steady stream of girls as young as 14 to be sexually assaulted by Epstein between 1994 and 2004. Prosecutors say Maxwell befriended and helped normalize the abuse by being present and even participating in some of it. Goodness. The trial will be the first real opportunity for the resolution for victims of Epstein. And I want to read this article in particular because it has a little snapshot of each victim that should be standing trial and a little history there. And it's very interesting for you guys. I think the content would be good for you. The trial will be the first real opportunity for resolution for victims of Epstein, a financier whose ties to some of the biggest names on Wall Street. He died in a jail cell before he could be tried for sex trafficking. Shortly after Epstein's death, more than a dozen victims shared their stories with a judge, having lost their only chance to confront Epstein in the court of law. Courtney Wild said she was 14 and in some in embraces when she was still wearing braces, when he abused her. Shantae Davies said Maxwell recruited her into Epstein and Maxwell's family before the financier raped her on his private Caribbean island. Davies said she fled barefoot, tearing her feet on rocks. All that it took to bring this man to justice has been robbed by his death, Davies said in 2019. Please don't rob us of justice again. Okay, so I'm going to try to scroll a little lower here because I want to get to the part. This is where I feel like it'll be interesting. If I can find it, y'all, if I can find it, talking about just who are some of these victims. Okay, I found the victims. Yes. Okay, so here we go. In case y'all just want a quick little I need to talk about that tragedy. You're right. I almost brought it up, but as tragic as it was, I do want to touch on what's coming up because I want to keep my eye on the target. If y'all know what I mean, big picture wise. So talking about some of the what do you call it? Clicking the wrong article here. Some of the victims. So you have one victim who they're not, I don't know if they're naming her name, but they call her victim number one. The U.S. says minor victim number one, 14 years old when she met Maxwell, and that the socialite groomed her to engage in sex acts with Epstein in 94 to 97, something like that. Maxwell is accused of undressing in front of the girl. Prosecutors, I think I remember hearing about this couple years ago. Prosecutors say Maxwell was present for some of the abuse, including participating in the group sexualized messaging involving the girl and the financier, meaning Epstein. The U.S. says Maxwell was aware the girl was enticed to travel across state lines for sexual encounters with Epstein. That's minor victim number one. So these are just some of the victims going to be featured in the trial. Minor victim number two, her name they're given is called Annie Farmer. Remember that name. Annie Farmer has identified herself as minor victim number two. Maxwell had at least one interaction with the minor victim at Epstein's New Mexico ranch in 1996 when the girl was under 18, prosecutors said, giving the teen an unsolicited massage while the girl was topless. Maxwell also alleged allegedly encouraged the victim to massage Epstein. Mark S. Cohen, a lawyer from Maxwell, said Farmer is a plaintiff in one of those lawsuits seeking millions of dollars from our client and seeking millions of dollars from a fund that's being set up. We have minor victim number 3. I don't think they give the name for this one, but they allegedly befriended minor victim number 3 in London sometime between 94 and 95 at a time when prosecutors said the British socialite knew the girl was under 18. According to the government, she introduced the girl to Epstein and arranged for multiple interactions with the financier. Maxwell was aware that Epstein engaged in sexual activity with the teen on multiple occasions, prosecutors are saying and have said. Maxwell lawyers have questioned whether victim number 3 could be considered a victim under the law because she was 17 when Maxwell allegedly recruited her to London for sexualized massages with Epstein, given the age of consent in UK, apparently, I didn't know this, is 16. So did y'all know that? So that's going to come up. The law matters. And so depending on what country you're in and how that works, things change. And, I take it for granted that 18 is that number, but in the United States, that's the case. In the UK, at 16, you can consent. So that we'll see how that holds up in the court of law, guys. But moving on a little more, I want to just talk about some of the victims here. Victim number 4, they don't give the name here. The only name I've seen so far that was listed that's public knowledge is Annie Farmer. But victim number 4 says prosecutors said Maxwell met this girl at Epstein's Palm Beach residence when she was about 14 years old around 2001. Maxwell and other Epstein employees paid her hundreds of dollars in cash to provide sexualized massages for Epstein and to recruit other girls for him, according to the U.S. Maxwell allegedly groomed the girl to engage in sex acts with the financier and sought to normalize the abuse by discussing sexual topics in front of the girl and being present when the girl was nude in the massage room of Epstein's Palm Beach mansion and engaged in acts with him. All right. I believe there's a few more coming, but this article is only really giving me enough detail on those 4. So we only got one name, Annie Farmer, excuse me. And then we have basically minor victim number 1, 3, and 4, but all of them have kind of similar situations. It'll be interesting to see what comes out in the court of law, but there's no doubt that, assuming that these witnesses are telling the truth and have a bit of credibility, that it's going to be really damning. As I said earlier, I want to know who is implicated through all this. I want her to sing like a bird, if you know what I mean. I want her to sing like a bird. And so, anyway, so I'm going to switch topics slightly, and then we can come back in on it. So, talking about just general news, and Tina, I'm going to get to the parade, because if y'all didn't hear about this man took a SUV, basically mowed over all these people. God, bless the families and be with them who are mourning. Some children, I think, either got killed or hurt as well. It was very tragic, and this person had no business being freed. Anyway, that's another subject I'll get to in a second. But I want to talk about pop culture a little bit. I want to engage the culture a little bit, because this is a huge win. In fact, if I can find my phone, here's my phone. If I can find my phone, I'm going to pull up a picture, guys, so you guys can see this. When I do the lives right now, my technology, when I do the lives, I can't really show y'all the images like I do when I do the recordings and edit it, and I'm able to put up, the daily videos. But when I do the lives, I'm going to have to just kind of show you my phone, because this is, let me see if I can find this. This is really interesting. Well, I'll tell the story first. So if you ever follow sports, which I'm not a big fan of right now because of how woke everything has become, but if you follow a little bit out the side of your eye sports, you may have heard about this latest drama dealing with LeChina James, as I've heard it put. I'm not going to call him LeBron James. I'm going to call it, hey, Stacey, appreciate you. I'm going to call it LeChina James, because that's basically what he is. He has so much to say about United States and how horrible and racist we are, and he's such a social justice warrior, while making a huge percentage of his money from China, which is why I call him LeChina. I mean, with Nike, they get all their manufacturing of his shoes done with slave labor. In China, the NBA has gradually been going further and further into the teat of China and getting sustained there over the decades, okay? And so LeChina, has so much to say about how our police is just racist, and how, he just can't help himself, right? But when it comes to China, who is at least 250 times worse than the United States has ever thought about being when it comes to social justice issues, like the way they treat the Muslims and how they persecute them, and how the Chinese star, I haven't heard LeChina say anything about her, how she spoke up about the way she was treated by an official in the Chinese government, and now no one's seen her for like 2 or 3 weeks. You name it, the persecution that consistently happens. Never mind all the slave sweatshop areas that produce LeChina's shoes where he's profiting like crazy. He has nothing to say about that, but everything to criticize and lecture in the United States. It never made sense to me. I don't know about you guys, but it never made sense to me. Well, there's a guy, I need to tell you all about him. His name is Ines Kanter. Okay. I want to say his name right. His name is Ines Kanter. And Ines Kanter is probably my new favorite athlete. Okay. Ines Kanter, he was playing for the Boston Celtics, and now I'm forgetting the other team. He may have been traded, but the bottom line is this: the guy came from a war-torn country. He knows what tyranny looks like. He knows what communism and the detriment that has, and he knows what true social justice crimes are. So lately, he's been a very outspoken critic of LeChina James, talking about how, be a real true justice warrior. You have blood in your hands, and he's gotten real creative. He's starting to wear shoes that they have painted and put designs on that take shots at LeBron James, even going as far as calling him LeChina James on his shoes, and he wears them during the games when he plays LeBron James, which I think is brilliant. One in particular is a picture. It's a red shoe that has Chinese, the country of China, the red and the yellow stars, kind of a theme on it. And on the shoe is a picture of LeBron James bowing down before the president of the Chinese Communist Party. And the Chinese Communist Party is putting and crowning LeBron James as he's bowing down to them, which I love. And they tried to interview LeBron about it. And, like, what do you say? Like, why don't you have anything to say about the crimes in China? And he just did anything he could to deter the conversation, to make it about, well, why can't he just confront me as a man? You know how LeBron, they talk around it just like Kamala and them do. They don't really address the question being asked. And it is awesome. Okay. Because I've seen next to no spine from professional athletes or anybody involved specifically with the NBA, because everyone folds on every issue that there is, whether it's mandates, whether it's, speaking up against China. They're not going to do it because they're such a fake woke environment, and they'll lecture and stand up for social causes until it hits their pocketbooks, until there's one moment where it might hurt their pocketbooks. Then all of a sudden, they don't care about social justice issues whatsoever. And so Ines Kanter, I want to show you guys the picture of this because it's too funny. It really is too funny. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I'll just type in Ines Kanter LeBron shoes, and apologizing ahead of time because I wish I could just bring it up on the screen so y'all can see it real easy like. But I'm going to try to see if y'all can see this. Okay, you might not. So I'm going to hold it up on the screen. Okay, here's my phone. Please take a quick look at this. All right. It might be a little blurry. Oh, there it is. Can y'all see that? So LeBron James is bowing over, and the money bags. I forgot about the money bags. He has money bags all behind because that's what he really serves. He serves, the Bible says you can't serve both God and mammon. Well, you know what? Whatever the money says, this guy seems to bow to it. And so you got the president of the CPP or the CCP, whatever it is, Communist Party of China, and he's announcing the king. And if anyone knows LeBron, they always called him, his nickname has always been the king, right? And so this is it. The guy has the gall to wear these custom shoes, and he has several of them. That's what I love about him. He has several of them. He puts them on, laces them up, and wears these shoes during the game when he's playing LeBron James's Los Angeles Lakers, and it's hilarious. And it's neat. He's the one guy that's got a spine in sports, and I am an Ines Kanter fan. I really am. And I was having this conversation with my family earlier. It's very true. Now, I have had the privilege of at least 2 or 3 times being able to leave the country on short trips, mission trips. One time in college on a study abroad. And let me just tell you, every single time I left our country and came back, I always immediately had an appreciation and a gratitude for our country. I just love our country. And it didn't take much. I remember going to Europe one time, and I think I was in Germany and having to pay money to use a public toilet. Okay. I had to pay money to use a public toilet. What was the other thing? Oh, no one ever heard of ice in your drinks when we went out to restaurants, and they kept saying we have air conditioning. And then I guess I'm a spoiled American because I'm like, I know what AC is. Other than the South, we got good air conditioning. They call someone blowing on you from the kitchen air conditioning. And it was just miserable, at this couple of days I was in this one country. And I remember coming back and I was like, you know what? Born in the USA, baby. I appreciate America. It didn't take much for me. I was like, this is how other people got it. You don't understand how spoiled we are. And you know what? I am thankful for that. I am thankful. I am thankful that I don't have to pay money to go to the toilet. I'm thankful that I have ice available and the things that capitalism and free markets have provided me. It didn't take much. And you go go to South America. I mean, my goodness, that we need to take all these wokey woke people and just take them on a few mission trips to some of these other countries and tell them, and then have them come back and tell us how bad America is. I mean, it's just facts. Okay. So that's a big problem that we have for half the country. But anyway, Carol says, did LeChina really sock another player in the eye last night? Thank you. You're following this. You're following, current events. He did. And so maybe it's God's kind of clamping down, maybe it seems, because he's getting on one side, his ideology is it's kind of chickens are coming home to roost and he's getting called out and he has nothing to say. And then if anyone's ever followed his career, he never gets in trouble. The NBA does everything they can to never make, because he's makes the most money for the NBA. So they're never going to call him out on anything. But he got thrown out of a game because he had that little cheap shot in the guy. The guy was trying to fight him hard. I just feel something different changing in the atmosphere, if that makes sense. So anyway, if you want a good laugh, type in Google Ines Kanter. I'll type it in here so y'all can see how to spell it. Type in Ines Kanter. Let's see, LeBron shoes in China. If you just type that in right there, you're going to see just some of Enes Kanter's shoes. He makes these statements every time they play. It's too funny. And the NBA doesn't like it, right? Because they're in the pockets of China big time. And so they're already reducing his minutes. They're not giving him as much playing time. And he's a formidable player. Anyway, I just had to mention that because I don't know. I guess in my heart of hearts, I always liked sports, but you know what? I like America more than I like sports. That's just what it is. So anyway, Ghislaine Maxwell trials coming down, and this is something that has to be talked about. So hopefully they'll let me keep talking about it because it needs to be. You might not be able to find much coverage on this topic, as it should, or at least enough. And I'm going to try to make a point to bring it up for the next couple of weeks at least. You know what I mean? Because it's happening and it needs to be discussed. So anyway, my goodness. So anyway, I want to back it up a little bit because I think it was Wilson Chick. Love to you. You brought up the fact that there was, and I'm just going to kind of look it up here because that's just kind of how I have my notes. Yes, there was a breaking news story. Those people where was it? Was it not Kenosha? Where was it? There was a tragedy. Help me out, y'all. Where was the car hit the car ran over people and they had like 50 people who are badly injured and or killed. I'll read a little bit about it. Right now they're leaning towards, I don't know if this is confirmed, but Darrell Brooks Jr., there seems to be a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that this is the culprit. He even had and posted a rap video a few years ago where he had the same looking vehicle in the rap video that was apparently used to mow down those people in the parade, the Christmas parade. So I'm going to read a little bit from this. His name is Darrell Brooks Jr. 5 fast facts you need to know. So Darrell Brooks Jr. is the man who was taken into custody. He was actually arrested. So, I mean, that's how much probable cause there is that this is the dude taken into custody in connection with the Waukesha? Was that the name of it? I think I'm saying that right. Waukesha Christmas Parade tragedy on November the 21st. This is yesterday. According to police, when Brooks was detained, police found a Ford key on him, according to scanner audio obtained by Heavy. His social media accounts and online court records show that he is an aspiring rap singer with a lengthy criminal record and 2 open felony cases for which he was released on $500 and $1,000 bail, the latter just days before the parade deaths. I mean, this guy's already a criminal doing criminal things. With 5 law enforcement officials, the Brooks is the individual in custody as a person of interest and is being questioned by law enforcement in connection with the vehicle incident in Waukesha. Okay. So like I said, it's not been proven because, and at least in America on the right side of things, we believe in due process. He's been taken into custody to be questioned, but it's not 100%. So I have to just make sure I say that we don't necessarily know that this guy is the culprit, but it seems probable. Okay. Police squads were at the Milwaukee address. So it's Waukesha, Milwaukee. Used by Brooks after his name was mentioned on the scanner in connection with the Waukesha parade incident in which, now listen, 40 people, including many children, my goodness, were injured when a red Ford Escape plowed through the crowd. He complained of a shoulder pain when taken into custody. Heavy confirmed that 2 Milwaukee police squads were outside the home listed to Brooks in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Heavy also obtained audio from the scanner indicating Waukesha police obtained an ID in the name of Darrell Brooks Jr. inside the red Ford Escape they recovered in connection with Waukesha parade investigation. So anyway, I want to go to the points because it talks about 4 facts you need to know about it. Okay, here it is. All right, so it was 1 hour away from Kenosha, Wisconsin. Okay, interesting. That part I did not know, and now it makes some sense because how everyone's acting about Rittenhouse. So number 1, a red SUV is seen in a rap music video recorded by this Brooks fellow who's a criminal, and he posted about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict on Facebook. So you can tell this guy with a criminal record who's already angry and anti-conservative anything, who was already angry about the Rittenhouse verdict. It makes sense that dude might do something stupid. Okay, so that's point number 1 that you might want to take into account. And he had a car that matched the description of the one used to hurt and injure all these people, hit these people during the parade. Okay. He had a YouTube channel with rap music videos, but it's been deleted. A red SUV could be seen behind him in one of the videos. Heavy saved this music before his account was deleted. Okay, so I'm going to scroll a little bit down. Doesn't surprise me what a joke he said on Facebook in response to the Rittenhouse trial. It's so funny, all these black rappers who, and really, frankly, I don't know how half or more of the black populace is so angry that a white kid killed a bunch of white people. 3 white people are dead, and somehow it's a black issue. I don't understand. Do you understand? Can you explain that to me? How in the world is this a black issue that you're hurt by? I'm really confused, man. Government mind control is real. That's all I got to say. It don't make no sense, y'all. Brooks' exact alleged connection to the parade incident is not known. The police chief said in a late night news conference that the police have a person of interest. He did not name the person, but NBC News confirmed early on November 22nd, listen, that the person of interest is Brooks. This is today, okay? This is how up to date this is. The person confronted is Brooks. Person of interest is Brooks, who's being questioned. Brooks is not listed on the Waukesha County Jail database. The motive is not clear, although it seems clear to me if you look at the Rittenhouse thing and what he posted in his history. It seems kind of clear, but whatever. David Leatherwood, 5 killed. Is that right? Okay. So I knew most of them were injured, but yeah, there were some deaths. 5 people were killed. Very tragic. Y'all need to pray for them, pray for comfort, God's comfort, and just grace and mercy. Possibly a knife fight injuring. Anyway, Wisconsin incident appears to be a vehicle fleeing a separate crime scene, and there was a stabbing apparently going on when it plowed into the parade. 1 person in custody. Okay, so we talked about 2 facts. He was filmed doing a rap video that seems suspect. Let's just say that. Number 2, Brooks has open felony cases in Wisconsin's court system. This is not a good dude. This is not a safe person. This is not a person that should be walking around free, it looks like, and is a danger to the public. That's point number 2 about this particular guy. But you know what? The left loves criminals because then they can just get away. The criminals do our dirty work, and they'll never really prosecute them. Here's fact number 3 about the dude. Brooks calls himself a rapper and stoner. He posted anti-police rhetoric on social media. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Almost all these rappers, especially the ones who do the typical, thug, whatever, are going to be anti-police. And so just some simple facts about this person who rolled over all these people in a parade, including hitting children. 5 people dead, according to Mr. Leatherwood. Appreciate the facts there because I didn't have that off the top of my mind here. There's another point right here. Here it is. Point number 4. Police say 40 people, including 12 children, were taken to hospitals because of this dumbness. I want to cuss, but I'm going to try not to. Okay. Police say 40 people, including 12 children. 12 children. I really hope one of the people killed wasn't a child. And I hope nobody else dies because of injuries. Local residents sent us a picture of the suspect who plowed through the parade, but asked us not to use her name out of fear for safety. She said she was standing next to the person who took the photo. It's the driver. He was feet away from me, and she's in shock. My goodness. And I think there's another fact, or was it just those 4? Let's make sure before I just kind of end the topic. But anyway, so this happened. I'm mentioning the news. You can see a ton of articles on the Gateway Pundit about it, but then there's also several other sources. I mean, it's all over the news. A man described how the SUV came a foot from his son, saying they have a whole block of Main Street that is casualties. Holy cow. Unbelievable. You can't even celebrate Christmas because of the stupid woke anarchy, demonic sense of evil that's in the world. Guys, I'm telling you that these kinds of things, unfortunately, are going to happen, especially as we get closer and closer to justice, God moving, and the process of restoring righteousness in the land. The evil isn't going to go down. Okay. Oh, well, it's time for me to go now. They're screeching, they're shrieking, they're going to go down kicking and fighting. And so, there's a number of prophets who've already prophesied this, like, hey, when 45 comes back, there's going to be rioting. Get ready. There's going to be this, but you still got to move full ahead. It won't last too long. In my dream, if you were following this channel that I had back in July 7, 14, 21, all multiples of sevens, for those of y'all who are Bible literate, and the end of the dream, Donald Trump reinstated himself as president, saying, look out for the looting and looking out for, basically the Antifa type, BLN type rioting. It will happen, but here we go. We're moving forward with it. Now, I've said it on every broadcast, and I'm going to keep saying it because I just want to encourage people, my people. 45 is a comeback number. God speaks to me by throwing what he wants me to see in front of my eyes. He did it yesterday on something totally different. And then once again, for no reason, I've been telling y'all this several times. I mean, I'm watching the game. My favorite player, scored 45 points, and so in the baseball World Series was 4 for 5 from the plate. The final score was so 4, Braves 5, 45. Brian Snicker, they're celebrating him. They keep mentioning during the broadcast, he's been with the organization for 45 years. We just want to honor him. I mean, there's so many stinking ways. I was eating nuts, like cashews, with my daughters who were like stealing all my snacks. I was like, get out of here, right? And then I grabbed the bag and literally it said, caution, this has 45 milligrams of sodium. Like I'll see it all kinds of ways like that. So then like yesterday, and y'all might think that's cuckoo. It's not. I know God and how he talks to me. And so I'm just being vulnerable there. So yesterday, what was I doing? Oh yeah. I was just going to sleep. I was probably just, watching some silly stuff. And then there's like a documentary on from a TV show I used to like. I wasn't really researching. I was just, entertaining myself and watching the documentary. And the guy came on, and for no reason, it was Billy Bob Thornton. They're interviewing him about somebody he used to work with in the acting and directing, and he's wearing a shirt, a cap, a ball cap, and on the ball cap, for no reason, and it doesn't explain why, his baseball cap says 45s and huge numbers. You see a 4 and a 5 at the very top as they keep going back to him and cutting to him periodically throughout the documentary. And I'm just looking at him like, why? Why would you be wearing a cap that has 45 on it? Like, it's just getting laughable to me, the different ways God will use to shove what he's telling me, in front of my eyes. And so, you know what? Go to the Lord yourself. You can come to him. You can know him. Christ died to give relationship back to the Father, like it was with Adam back in the cool of the day when they walked together. And that was how it was. Sin came and divided, and we couldn't even have a relationship with him. There was this big void. And so Christ came to be the propitiation for our sins, to remove what blocked us from the Father. We can go boldly before him in this life and in the one to come. You can know him and hear from him continually. That's why it says man doesn't live on bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Father. Like literally, we're supposed to have such an intimate relationship with Father through Jesus, because of what he did. We can come to him, and he can literally tell us what to do in the moment. Nope, you need to apologize to your wife. Nope, you need to not make that decision. Nope, you can't trust that realtor. Like whatever the issue is, we don't live by bread alone, by money alone, by our jobs, by our own efforts, by our own thinking, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Father. It gives a light into our path, a lamp into, you know what I mean? So that's how it is. That's all I know how to tell you. If you don't understand that yet, think about it, pray about it, and God will get you there. He really will if you genuinely want him. But the point is this. We have glory days, not gloomy days, to borrow a line from Manuel Johnson of Mega Praise Ministries, and I'm Mega. It's just kind of funny. These are glory days, not gloomy days. And glory, the definition of it, one definition I heard, I love this definition, it's when God goes public. What's glory? What's God's glory? When God goes public. When he does something that's so astounding that he gets famous. All of a sudden, people hear about that God, like, whoa, are you following? That's God's glory. At the time of the parting of the Red Sea, and when God gained glory, he said, I have done this. I've hardened Pharaoh's heart so that I might gain glory over him. Okay. The whole point was not a lot of people knew about Adonai. Not a lot of people knew about the God that we're very familiar, and he's very famous at this point in history at the time of Pharaoh. Children of Israel knew about him. Very few people knew about him. And so they were starting to find out who this God was as, boom, God after God got taken down. He was showing himself to be God over all these different gods. It's unreal. And one guy, I recently found this out, right across the way from the Red Sea where the children of Israel set up camp. There, if you read it, it's in Exodus. It talks about how God flat out told Moses, set up on this side of the Red Sea across from, it was called Baal Haram or Baal. There's some god, and I went back and researched it up, but it's in there. It's Baal, Baal something. And it was known as the god of weather. There was like a temple across the Red Sea, and most pastors never talk about this. You have to read the Bible for yourself, and God has to show you. There is a temple of Baal something. I can't think of the last name. Maybe some of y'all might know, but it was known as the god of weather. Pharaoh thought that the god of weather was opening up the sea for him, which was why he was deceived and God gained glory over him. It's hilarious, but almost all these miracles that happened was God just saying, nope, I went over your God. Nope, I'm God of they worship the Nile River. God had sovereignty over all these things, including the Red Sea miracle. That was a shot to the God of weather that everyone believed. So at the end of that, God went public, and all these people heard about it. They're like, oh, y'all, put fear in Israel's enemies. And so what I'm telling you is these are glory days, not gloomy days. When God removes Biden, puts in Trump 45 again before 2024 is what I'm saying. I believe that. If I'm wrong, fine, but I don't think I am. Okay. So I'm not cocky. I'm still supposed to believe what I think God's showing me, but I know I'm a man. I could be wrong, but he's coming back. And everything that's tied into it, the timing going into December, finally the Maxwell case the trial is happening. I'm telling y'all, God's going to go public. God's going to go public. And I think things are going to get to a point where all this, is there a God, is there not? I don't really think it's going to be like that too much longer. I think everybody's going to know there is one, and they just have to decide whether they want him to be a part of their life or not. And some people aren't going to want to, even though they know he exists. That's what's unbelievable to reconcile. But it's just true. It's just true. Okay. So reading some of you guys, what's up, Seraph? Still drinking coffee, or I would be more chatty. I know how that feels. Okay, I'll hit that like button. Yeah, appreciate you guys. So anyway, I don't want to go on and on for too long. I usually keep it about 45 minutes long, usually when I do these lives. But I just wanted to just continue to just be a voice out there, reminding people, hey, don't get too caught up in the weeds. Don't get too caught up in the distractions. Yay, even good things like Rittenhouse, getting some justice, that's fine. But the main thing is the main thing. We can't be like the world where they major on the minors and minor on the majors. I mean, everything about the world system does that. That's why you pay. A lot of times the people most overpaid people are the ones who do the least for society. Oh, that's pretty good. Some of the most overpaid people are the ones who do the least for society. Their value is actually unbelievably next to nothing, except for the fact that our values are so screwed up. We ignorantly pay them all this money. Like professional athletes, for example. I'm guilty of it as much as anyone. What do they really do for society? Entertain you, distract you. They don't do too much for you. They don't save you when you're sick. They don't build anything. They don't really provide a tangible product that helps you survive and thrive. It's just distractions. Yet they get paid 80, 90, 100 times more money than even doctors get because the values are upside down. Okay? In this society, we major on the minors and we minor on the majors. Some of the people that are most important that we have to have, police officers, certain teachers, not all teachers, certain teachers, plumbers. I mean, like things you have to just survive. Firemen, we'll get you. We major on the minors and minor on the majors. Okay? So just know the same thing is true when it comes to what media attention you get out there. That's part of the main reason why we do it. I mean, you can't completely just get mad at people because the brainwashing, Project Mockingbird, or whatever you want to call it, that happens through the media, the programming that literally gives all the shine and attention to those that don't matter, which makes us not pay attention to the things that do matter so they can get away with it and take advantage of us. Y'all know how it is. But that's the dynamic. That's the world we live in. We live in a fallen world, okay, where sin, Jesus didn't correct Satan when he said, when he said, I'm the prince of the power of the air, in the kingdoms, and he had authority to, put you in position. God didn't knock him on that. He knew it was true. But he's given us authority to trample scorpions, to walk on, to dismantle all the power of the enemy if we believe it and we do what our role is. It's like we're the police force, and a lot of us aren't patrolling. We aren't enforcing the law. Just like at the border, we have laws. They don't matter because no one enforces the law. Well, a lot of the problems that we have here, we're not praying. We're not taking down strongholds over territories, over nations. And in Jesus' name, over Wisconsin, Kenosha, I pray angels of heaven, host of heaven, march and dismantle the demonic principality. Just take it out. That's over that region that's causing so much strife, confusion, and such a hotbed of tyranny. I pray it and I tear it down in the name of Jesus. I have that authority, not because I'm good, but because I am righteous. And I am righteous because God gives me Jesus' righteousness. When he looks at Chris Morris, he doesn't see all the pathetic, the way I snapped at my wife, the stupid thoughts I had, the sinfulness. Jesus paid for that, took it as far as the east is from the west. When God the Father looks at me, when I pray to him, he sees everything that Jesus did. He sees Jesus's perfection. He sees Jesus's righteousness. And it's attributed to me as I believe God's words. Jesus's righteousness is attributed to me the more I believe God's words. That's what the Bible says. It says righteousness was accounted to Abraham because he believed God. He goes, Abraham believed God, and it was attributed to him as righteousness. And the Bible goes on later to say, the prayers of the righteous man avails much. It doesn't say the prayers of a good man, because no one's good but God. You understand how twisted some of our thinking's gotten because of the devil? No one's good but God. That's the whole point. We need to be saved. We're in the process. I ain't where I want to be, but thank God I ain't where I used to be. I'm okay and I'm on my way, as Joyce Meyer always says. Okay? But because I believe in him, God gives me and clothes me with everything Jesus earned, and I get the benefits of everything Jesus earned, and everything I earned, got paid for on the back and the stripes of Jesus. Okay? Does that make sense? So we need to take up our position in Christ through belief. Unbelief is the problem, and heaven bows to faith. What's faith? The substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. And I see evidence of things that aren't seen, and that gives me greater faith, and it gives me the ability to have heaven bow towards the needs I need to see, and we need to see in the earth. I'm tired of hearing people talk about this. Oh, well, I just go to heaven, and we got to get out of here. Jesus hurt and come back, take me out. Well, he wants you here for a reason. And even Jesus instructed you to pray. He didn't say pray like that. He said, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. He didn't say thy children come up to heaven and get away from all the evil, you scaredy cats. That's not what the Lord's Prayer says. It says, thy kingdom come where? To earth. Thy will be done where? On earth. He even says it, on earth, as it is in heaven. So that means we have the authority to pray that through. But it doesn't happen if you don't come into agreement with that and pray the will of the Lord, which is God's kingdom come. The way it is in heaven is the way it can be on earth to a degree. It's obviously not going to be perfect till he who's perfect comes, but you see what I'm getting at? I hope. It's true, too often the most overpaid do the least for society. I mean, that's what it is. Look at the politicians. What do they do for society? Very few of them do anything. In fact, they just destroy and bring in more tyranny, yet they get paid out the waz because they take China money like Biden and LeBron. So anyway, I got to get going with my day. I love you guys. God bless you guys till the wheels fall off. As always, like, subscribe, share, click that notification bell for more content and analysis. If you haven't already, please subscribe to me on Rumble and follow me on Odysee as backup. Some things I can talk about on here, obviously, and a lot of things I cannot, obviously. If you feel so led, if you want to donate and sow towards what we're trying to accomplish here and to bring the content and to encourage you guys and to just fight for freedom. And our freedom of speech is one of the biggest spearhead tipping points. That is, there's a link to my PayPal, my Cash App. I'd appreciate you. But if you don't, I love you anyway. I'm just throwing that out there. If you feel so led, we have links to my what do you call it? The Mega Spring, Mega Man 3, creatorspring.com, our merch store. If you want to donate something for Christmas, I know the holidays are coming up. Let me know if in an email, if you'd like a copy of Class Act, my book, where I kind of give a little bit more of my testimony, point you to Christ, hopefully, and hopefully give you some ideas of how this pertains into any sphere of society, any mountain that God has you assigned to. I hope it's a blessing and an encouragement. If you know somebody in education, especially who needs some encouragement because they're in a tough situation, it's not easy. That's a great read for them, and it will help them hopefully do what God wants them to do in that season, and it will bless them. So Class Act, Changing the Educational Landscape Through Love is the name of my book. You can find it on Amazon too, but you can message me and I might be able to autograph it, and we can do kind of a special arrangement, a special gift in that way. So as always, I love you guys. Carol, thanks for being on here. I appreciate you. Amen. Sarah, I appreciate you. Everyone have a good day. Tina, I appreciate you. Leatherwood, I appreciate you. ZPW49, I appreciate you. Stacy, I appreciate you. Who else is on today? Jim, I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a blessed day. It's Monday. It's glory days. It's not gloomy days. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We have plenty to be thankful to be in this United States of America. I'm thankful for her. And we need to start being thankful before God. And we need to start acting that way. We know it's not a right. We know it's a gift. And we got to be thankful for that gift and do what we can to take care of her, so we don't lose it. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Y'all have a blessed one. Peace.